Howdy, folks. Recording another best ball draft here. Doing a best ball mania. Well, unfortunately, this is my fifth best ball mania. I only meant to do four before the schedule release, but I wanted to make a video today, and I already recorded one and happened to delete it by mistake because I am a moron. So I'm going to look back at the team that I drafted earlier today. So I thought it turned out really, really well. So we started off with Chase, Debo, DJ Moore. Ended up taking T. Higgins around 4. Not something I do often is to pair Chase and Higgins together. But when I do, I want to get Joe Burrow. I got lucky, did not get sniped on him in round 6. So I was able to put that together. I actually haven't done a Chase Higgins team since this entire season. So, I drafted over 100 teams in the big board, little board 2, and this is my first Chase Higgins team. I was able to get Kamara to fall to me in round 7. Did Zach Moss with Burrow. I had an interesting pick here where I could have taken Purdy to go with Debo, but I passed and took Moss to go with the Cincinnati correlation, hoping that Jaden Daniels would fall back to me at 117, which is a little bit after ADP, so was pretty lucky. Then I got a big fall on Brian Robinson to correlate with Daniels. Loved this wide receiver group with Debo, DJ Moore, Higgins, Dotson, Purcell, Roman Wilson, Baker. And then, I got Sonat to pair with Daniels. And I have Andrews as my tight end too, so really happy to get him in round 5 whenever I can. So going up back to... So overall, I was really, really happy with this team, especially this wide receiver group. Getting the fall on Roman Wilson was really nice. So getting back to looking at the board, I'll probably be taking Garrett Wilson, I'm supposing, or whatever. Puka, AJ Brown. Taking a wide receiver, not taking Jahmyr Gibbs. I will take whichever of these 3 wide receivers they give me. Not Garrett Wilson. Guess we're taking Puka. Puka's a pretty unexciting fleck for me. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'd be fine taking Gibbs. Then I probably want to switch to a wide receiver. I might pull Adams above London this time because I have a Puka London team already. And drafting early in this window. I guess I would want to mix it up a little bit. I actually have Adams ranked higher than London. I usually draft London over Adams because I don't want to end up with a trillion Adamses. But okie doke. Well, that made that easy. Definitely just taking Marvin Harrison. I just assumed he would not be there when we picked. So we could pull McBride up in round 4. I think round 4 is atrocious. And then try to build the Kyler stacked team. Because you can usually get Kyler late here in round 7. And I think that's one of the best picks you can get. I have taken McBride over Kelsey to do that at least once. So I'll have to kind of consider if I want to get in on Kelsey or if I want to do another McBride and try and get Kyler. If you don't do that with McBride, you can lose Kyler because... you can lose Kyler either way, but you're most likely to get him when you pull McBride up because then nobody else is really looking for Kyler except for you. Whereas if McBride heads down the board, the McBride person will sometimes cut Kyler off. Love the value on Devontae Adams. I think he is one of my favorite round 2 players, that's for sure. I have Harrison and Adams ranked 12 and 13. Then London at wide receiver. I very much don't like the price of Brandon Ayuk, but it's not particularly worse than any of these other prices. Just my opinion of Brandon Ayuk is just that he's pretty good and not absolutely amazing, which I guess is how you feel about most of these round 2 wide receivers. I would be interested in Laporta and maybe not doing the Kyler thing if Laporta is available. He tends to go before this area. I really don't like taking Josh Allen on this side of the board. I actually would prefer to pay more for Josh Allen, get him on this side of the board because like all of his good stacking options line up over here, where you're not overpaying for any of them. And to be honest, like once you get into these round 3 wide receivers, I like Waddle quite a bit, but I mean, taking Josh Allen on this side of the board, I think is a better way to build Josh Allen teams. You're building teams that look way different than where he's normally going. You're not overpaying for the stack pieces layer. You're only overpaying for Josh Allen himself, which like arguably it's like not even that much of an overpay. It's maybe where he should just be going. So I'm going to be building my Josh Allen teams on the left side of the board, not the right side of the board, unless something changes with the ADPs of these players. So yeah, that was a bummer to lose an hour of recording to just me being a dumbass. I was trying to delete like partially recorded previous video that I had stopped and like just clicked on the wrong video and deleted the new one that I had just made. So yeah, McBride's noteworthy to me. Kelsey's noteworthy. We could do some sort of like Kelsey and Mahomes thing. Could take Devonta Smith and maybe Hurts and Smith both, are there at pick 11. We'll see. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to do Cup. I already have a Cup Puka Best Ball Mania 5 team, I think. Can't remember if that was Best Ball Mania 5 or one of my... Actually, it might have been one of my mini schnauzers. So 3 players I have an eye on. There goes one of them. 2 players I have an eye on. I guess Kelsey would now be the third. So I'm not taking Josh Jacobs. The amount of Josh Jacobs love I see on Twitter is fairly sickening to me. I'm not going to lie. It's fairly sickening. We will be taking DK or Devonta Smith. I guess I'll take DK. He's in the same division as these guys, so chances of a Week 17 matchup between those 3 players is reasonably high. The only problem is if I take Kelsey that cut myself off from Kyle Pitts, but that's okay with me. I'm not a fan of Kyle Pitts. I'm not going to do Cup here. Question is, do I want to do Kelsey or McBride? I'd rather do McBride and open myself up for the Kyler double later. So we're going to do that. Pretty much like every time I don't have Marvin Harrison, I'm going to take Kelsey over McBride. So I don't mind taking McBride over Kelsey. Some when I have Harrison. I just don't want to be doing it too much. So like the reason why I did it this time is because I don't want Matt Stafford or Geno Smith all that much. So I do want to leave myself open for Kyler in round 7. I'm just not going to take a quarterback till then. See if we are lucky enough to get Kyler as our QB1. Should probably be going pretty wide receiver heavy pretty early here. Could pick up another tight end and be done at tight end. Not something I'm too interested in doing. We do have all NFC West players, so that's kind of interesting. I wouldn't have hated starting with Kelsey and Mahomes instead of DK and McBride. Wow, Hurts went after Mahomes. Crazy. Pretty happy to see quarterbacks go on the left side of the board. Gives us some chance more of catching a falling Kyler. Xavier Worthy's price is completely out of hand. I'll pretty much not be drafting him unless I'm doing something with Mahomes, and it's going to be hard to even get him when you're doing things with Mahomes because he's getting so crazy. Wow. Lamar Andrews at the 4-5 turn for that gentleman. That's got to feel good. Start with McCaffrey, Mike Evans, Waddle, Lamar, and Andrews. That team is nasty. Mr. Poopy Butthole has the double Houston with CJ Stroud. The 2-hole, I don't like their team too much. Richardson without Pittman is like whatever, but I don't like the price of Worthy anymore. I think it's just gotten too out of hand. I don't like Derrick Henry much as a pick. So I like starting CD Kyron. Not too much of a fan of this Brees team going with 3 non-wide receivers in the first 5 rounds. I think that's kind of rough. This guy is going to be in trouble at wide receiver too. Wow, it is like all wide receivers on the board. I'm not touching Keenan Allen with somebody else's hole, that's for sure. So I'll be taking Kirk, Reed, or Terry McLaurin. I prefer Kirk more on the left side of the board, so I can kind of like double dip pretty easy with T-Law. I'm going to take Jaden Reed here. If we miss on Kyler, then like Jordan Love is usually there, so we could do that. Looking at either Terry McLaurin, maybe Kyle Pitts, maybe Rome Dunze. Okay, let's do Terry. Another option for a later quarterback if we want. Grabbing Jaden Daniels. So that's pretty neat. So we're hoping Kyler makes it back to our next pick. If not, then we have Jordan Love as an option. Probably go with one of those two. Probably not going to want to throw Love to the turn because Christian Watson will probably be on the board. So I don't want to like give the turn a chance to double tap and take Love and Watson if we miss on Kyler. So we have some QBs set up that I actually like. I don't mind Stafford either, so We'd have to take Jaden Daniels pretty early, like 110 if we want to take him with Terry. I'd probably prefer taking Jaden Daniels to Jordan Love if I do get Kyler. So maybe I'll end up with Love, Daniels. I guess the way things played out, maybe it would have been better to take Kelsey this time. So that's something I'm going to think about for the future. Because, like, it's not like I'm hurting for QB options now, but we didn't really know we were going to get Jaden Reed and McLaurin, both who we like the QBs for. So being that, the only thing we knew is that Stafford, Kyler, and Geno were options, and me not really wanting to draft Stafford or Geno that much. I'm okay with Stafford. I'm not taking any Geno this year. I think his job security is too bad, and I don't think there's that much upside, and there's so many rushing quarterbacks this year. Christian Watson is going after Love. I'm not going to do a Love double with Reed and Watson. I've done it a few times. I think it's fine, but I just think since we're already 5 wide receivers deep, I'd rather wait and see if we can pick up Wicks later or something like that. This could definitely be a 2-7-7-2 build. We wouldn't mind that at all. I usually take 8 wide receivers, but I usually stop at 4 early, like that previous draft I was showing you earlier. I stopped at 4 early because I do actually like a lot of the mid-range wide receivers and like a lot of the rookie values in the mid ranges. So this ended up being a 6-8 team. I ended up with like pretty strong top 4 running backs in my opinion for a 0 RB build, so I just went with 6. I also like estimate pretty well as like a guy that could beat out the starter, might not need an injury to overtake him during the season. We'll have some interest in Trey Benson when it comes back around, but like he's usually gone before that pick. He usually goes above ADP, so there are a few people in front of us that don't have a quarterback, so there's no guarantee that we get Kyler. Like I said, we have the backup plan of doing Love built in. I guess if I do Love, I could consider like really pushing 0 RB and maybe taking Watson as my 6th wide receiver. Doesn't seem super necessary though. There's like plenty of other stacking options. With Green Bay, I could even take like maybe Musgrave on this team, who I like almost never take. But basically, if I don't have Jordan Love, I'm not taking Luke Musgrave, but I am open to taking him if I do have Jordan Love. Still 3 people without a quarterback, so decent chance that Kyler goes before our pick. I doubt Kyler and Jordan Love both go before our pick, but I've seen stranger things happen. Yep. So we did lose out on Kyler. This person takes Jordan Love. I still have some tricks up my sleeve. I'm definitely glad I took Jaden Reed now, though. That's for sure. For sure. Kyler goes sometimes like way after ADP. Sometimes he goes before ADP. He's like all over the map. Okie doke. Let's take Jordan Love. Guess we'll take Zamir here. Fine with Zamir. Like getting him as my first running back. It's not the most exciting pick in the world, but he's not too bad. Probably look to pick up another running back and Jaden Daniels with my next 2 picks. I am a freak for Jaden Daniels, and I am taking all of the Jaden Daniels when he's this cheap. He's my most owned quarterback by a lot since the draft. I think I had like 12 or 13% in the pre-draft contest. So I'm at like 50% in the post-draft contest, but I've only done 14 or 15 of them. But love of Jaden Daniels. Been pairing him with Sanat a lot. Could do that again as our second tight end with McBride. Don't necessarily have to do that. Could do that. So we could look at like maybe getting a Wicks, or Dubs is like kind of expensive. I'm not a big fan of Dubs. Wicks is at 147. It's a pretty reasonable price. Do we pick anywhere near that? Not particularly. Doubt that I want to bring them all the way up here. Something to think about if Dubs is on the board. I don't think that's going to make sense for me, though. To me, like, the drop-off in QB after Daniels is just massive. Like, there is still Stafford we could pair with Puka, but I like that so much less. Just want to keep hammering Jaden Daniels for now. I think he's such a good pick. Do I still have interest in Trey Benson, considering that we're not doing the full Cardinals thing? Not as much. Go with Javonte. I could go with one of the Washington running backs. I mostly have Brian Robinson with Daniel, so maybe I could try an Eckler team. Don't like Eckler as a pick much. Interested to see if Caleb Williams goes before we pick. Not that I have any interest in him, but he's just a player. I'm always interested in seeing where they go. So yeah, in retrospect, I think the only pick I would really change is maybe just taking Kelsey above McBride, so I'm not ending up with so much of a disproportionate amount of McBride, especially on, Marvin Harrison teams. I think I've done it a little bit too much. Like I like pulling him up there to pair with Harrison. But Jaden Daniels goes way, way early to Mr. Poopy Butthole. So that plan is out of the bag, out of play. Which means we might actually wait and go for Stafford. Pretty disappointing. I guess that would open up Romeo Dubs as like a legit possibility here. Even Eckler goes before us. Do we want to build Benson on this bet that we have going with Arizona? Yeah, let's do that. Cortland Sutton could start to try to set up something for Bo Nix, but I'm medium to not a fan of that plan. So it's either like Dubs or someone like Devin Singletary. I think I'm going to leave myself open to maybe taking Musgrave on this team, so I think I'll just go with a running back here. I prefer Devin Singletary to Brian Robinson, but they're somewhat close. I feel like my team balances out a little bit better if I take a running back here. So let's do that. So our next picks are 131 and 134. Musgrave is 150. I mean, we could always do Tucker Craft as well. Musgrave would have to probably follow 155. So if Stafford's there, we're going to pick him with one of our next two picks. Might kick the can on Green Bay pass catchers. There's also Marshawn Lloyd who correlates. Where does he go? 153. He also could be there in this range. You can get Tucker Craft like real late, so I would be fine going with like Craft and McBride, just rocking two tight ends. This team is not ending up anywhere near as good as this team did. This team was probably like a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I really, really, really liked this team. A lot of things fell into place. We were able to get Sanat at ADP. We were able to get Jaden Daniels at ADP. We snuck Jahan Dotson past ADP. Not that he's an exciting pick, but it was nice to correlate him. We got a full round of ADP value on Brian Robinson. We got heavy team stacks, which I kind of like. Got some really good value on Roman Wilson. Javon Baker's been hard to get at ADP. We got him. So my first video would have definitely been better than the second, and I was trying to save bullets, but since that plan got ruined, we are where we are. There's the option of taking like Josh Palmer and seeing if we could wheel Herbert around the person behind us. He has one quarterback, so that might be tough, but could be worth it. Here's Charbonnet on the board who correlates with DK Metcalf, so I guess that's something to consider. Like I said, I'm not too interested in taking Gino. He's someone I wouldn't hate if I had none of. Oh, Charbonnet goes. That was actually good for me, but I will share why in a moment. Yes. I was really hoping Blake Corum did not go. So wanted to get Corum to go with Puka and hope that this guy doesn't take Stafford. But he might. Does he have Cooper Kupp? Nobody does have Jahmyr Gibbs. It's been a very slow moving draft. Very happy to get Stafford there. Done at quarterback. Really happy that we were able to get this Blake Corum piece to go with them. It's definitely going to be a 7 running back team. This is not one of the stronger groups of 0 running backs I've had. Benson's probably starting the season pretty slow. Corum's definitely starting as a high-end backup. Could have had Marshawn Lloyd to this mix, but kind of check out and see who's available. I like Chai Chandler quite a bit. He's not taking all that much. I like Ray Davis. So could look at Musgrave with our next pick or Wicks. I imagine that both are gone before we pick. There's always the option of Bo Melton as a stack piece for Jordan Love, which I don't mind. But I think if we miss Musgrave and Wicks, I will just go with Tucker Kraft. Later, he's really easy to get. It's a pretty interesting team. Does not look like any of the other teams I've drafted. When you get stuck taking Puka in round one, it feels kind of bad. I'm not going to lie. Could start mixing some Gibbs over Puka, but I don't like that too much. I really, really prefer 0 RB or like. I'm fine with hero RB and I'm fine with Gibbs as a hero RB, but I don't want to have too much of that going on. Kind of interested in Kendre and Ray Davis. Marshawn Lloyd does correlate with what we've got going on here, but that seemed early for Antonio Gibson. I like the Jerome Ford pick. I'm rising on him. Boo. I took our Wicks. He's one that can fall sometimes, so. It's kind of a bummer. Mr. Poopy Butthole took Jaden Daniels way above ADP when he had CJ Stroud with the Stroud double. You bastard. Woo! Woo! Now he takes Luke McCaffrey way too early. I am Mr. Stack McCaffrey. Wow, he reached so much on these guys. Yeah, I think that's a little overvaluing stacking. In that previous draft I did with Daniels, let's not fall to, I think it was 165 because I was picking here. And like McCaffrey was available way, way later. Did not get Musgrave. Where's Tucker Kraft? Is he even like on this thing? He's literally a last round pick. Yeah, let's see if Firemeath is there when we pick. He's not. Guess I could just go with 2 running backs. Be like Marshawn Lloyd and one of Ty Chandler or Kendre. They're eating up the tight ends. We have a lot of rookie running backs now. I'm going to take one of Ty Chandler or Kendre, I think. Unless those are the 2 picks for this fellow. Slightly lean towards Ty Chandler because I'm doing Green Bay things and Minnesota's the same division, but I'm also fine taking Kendre if he wants Ty Chandler. Pretty glad to see Chuba go. Not have any interest in Chuba, really. We're down to one running back pick, one tight end pick, and two wide receivers. Something to keep in mind. We do at least get Lloyd as like a partial stack piece to go with Love, so don't feel quite the same maybe pressure to go with Tucker Craft. I actually don't mind Tucker Craft though, so just kind of see what options are available to us in the last two rounds of tight end. Might have to pull out the Greg Dulcich out of my bag. Tight ends went like really early in this draft on average. Do we have Devin Singletary on this team? Okay, we do. That's important to me because of Tyrone Tracy. Like, I don't want to take Tracy on teams where I have Singletary, so. Bummer to see Ray Davis go. Evan Hall, Donta Foreman are a couple running backs I'm into late. It's pretty unclear how that situation is going to play out in Cleveland with Chubb and whatnot going on. Very much not into Dobbins, but I would consider him if he was still there when I picked. I assume he will not be. I do like Juwan Johnson like a lot more than I like Kraft, so if by chance Juwan Johnson somehow is there when we pick again, I might forego the stacking piece and take Juwan, but I assume that he's gone before we pick. K. Otton's not a player that I care much about, so I'd probably pass him. Just try and get Kraft later, and if not, break the glass on my boy Dulcich. I have not had to take in the post-draft process. Interesting thing with the Vikings is like they have no real third wide receiver. They've got Brendan Powell, who's like, ugh. They're also probably not going to have Hawkinson. At least not going to have Hawkinson at 100% early in the season. So things could work out pretty wonky for the Minnesota pass catchers. I wonder if Ty Chandler and Aaron Jones might both get some run early. Like both get like a little bit tick up in usage as they like have to use one in the slot more or something like that. Ty Conklin is another guy I could have considered over Tucker Craft. I have Conklin like right behind Juwan Johnson, so there's a few players that I'm really, really high on just the left. There goes one of them. Kendra. What does he have for tight ends? Hudson Goddard. He takes off. He's like Roshan. Is this the draft where I'm going to take Javon Baker because that's who I want here the most by quite a margin. Then we'll see what falls back to us. I have interest in Dobbins and Juwan, and then Bucky Irving, I guess. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and take Juwan and wave goodbye to Tucker Craft. That's fine. I still have a running back and a wide receiver for both of my quarterbacks, which is decent. Still need to make one more wide receiver pick and one more running back pick. This team is certainly worse than this bad boy we drafted earlier today. Look at this beautiful, beautiful team. Ignore the one I'm drafting now. Just look back at this one. Alrighty. So let's queue up some players I'm interested in late. Don't want Tracy on this particular team. God, I don't like Braylon Allen, but he should probably be queued. Whew, A.T. Perry is way too low. Let me already take one. So we got a whole bunch of dudes in this grouping. Dameon Pierce off the board. Not a fan of Dameon Pierce. Not too big of a fan of these wide receivers that are available either, but got to do what you got to do at wide receiver sometimes. Oh, it's Demarcus Robinson, who's like somewhat okay of a pick. Correlates with Matt Stafford, so wouldn't hate taking Demarcus Robinson. He was pretty good last year when he went to the Rams. Still can't believe Butthole took Jaden Daniels so far ahead of ADP, and we couldn't get him as far ahead of ADP as we wanted to take him. That is my dude. This team feels like a B- to me. I'd say the team I drafted earlier felt like an A to me. This is certainly feeling like a B-. Question is, would I rather go for the upside of like A.T. Perry or just kind of the blast stack option of Demarcus Robinson? Interesting question. Darren Waller. Never Darren Waller. Hateful Huck. Takes Bo Nix. I wonder what his team looks like. Kyler and Bo Nix. We're going to take J.K. Dobbins here. Like 43 picks after ADP. Fine. I think we will finish off with a wide receiver. So I think I'd rather go for the upside of one of these rookies instead of, or A.T. Perry, second year player, instead of the olds with Chark and Robinson. We do have the Robinson correlation with Stafford. I just don't know how good he is. Like if Stafford's hitting his ceiling, he probably needs Cup to be healthy. So, but I'm just not sure that Demarcus Robinson is that awesome. Probably going to take Tez or A.T. Perry here. Maybe I'll take Tez. All right, so quarterback is like satisfactory but pretty unexciting. Running back is a little bit less than satisfactory and unexciting. Like the only way this ends up being real good for us is like if one of Benson or Corum breaks out early, I guess, or Lloyd. There are some paths, right? We got Aaron Jones who gets hurt a lot. We got like Dobbins could end up the one in the Chargers. We don't really know. I mean, I'm certainly not betting on it, but 43 picks past ADP, fine. You got me. I'll take one. And yep, wide receiver group's pretty good. Top 5, obviously, very good. Love Javon Baker as well. Devontae Walker is decent. Upside bet. Tight end is absolutely fine. I'm fine what you want as a tight end 2 and a 2 tight end build. Love McBride. So McBride could be Kelsey, I guess. I would slightly prefer that. Doesn't really actually matter that much. I have McBride ranked higher than Kelsey, but the problem is like if I do this too often where I'm pulling McBride up and taking him over Kelsey, I'm just going to end up with way too much McBride and no Kelsey, or not enough Kelsey. So something to think about the next time I have that same choice. It's just tough because Kyler goes so like randomly. Like you usually can pull this off. I think this is actually the first time that I've taken Harrison and McBride and not gotten Kyler. So can't be too mad about it. We would have got Benson too, so that would have made for like a really nice team stack with Kyler. So yeah, I don't really mind playing that game. Plus we already had, the 2 other NFC West guys. So yeah, it seemed all right. Thanks for watching and good luck in your draft, folks.